The Trizarg were warriors without equal, or so they believed. Forged in the crucible of discipline, their combat training was a model of precision and control. Their leaders, however, were wary of the growing influence of humans in the galactic sphere. It was a curiosity they could no longer ignore. How could a species as fragile and short-lived as humanity hold such sway over powerful allies and enemies alike? The decision was unanimous. An elite team of observers would be dispatched to Earth to unravel the mystery. When the aliens landed at a sprawling human military base, their initial impressions were dismissive. The humans were small, soft-looking, and moved with an informality that bordered on chaos. One observer, Commander Galactic, noted how the soldiers laughed and joked as they assembled in neat but relaxed formations. "Is this the discipline of warriors?" he murmured to his second-in-command, who responded with a skeptical twitch of his mandibles. Their skepticism deepened when they observed humans marching. It seemed more ceremonial than practical, and the rhythmic chants confused the aliens. "Are they summoning something?" asked one of the younger observers, his eyes narrowing at the chants of left, right, left. To the Trizarg, every action in training served a functional purpose. The idea that humans might mix tradition or camaraderie into their routines baffled them. But then the humans began running. Long, grueling circuits around the base, through mud, over hills and under blazing sunlight. The Trizarg leaned forward, their skepticism giving way to curiosity. Some soldiers faltered, others pressed forward, shouting encouragement to their comrades. When one recruit collapsed from exhaustion and was carried by two others, the aliens exchanged glances. "They do not leave the weak behind," Galactic muttered, his voice tinged with reluctant respect. Lunch in the mess hall offered another layer of bewilderment. The Trizarg had expected fuel-efficient rations or nutrient injectors, the kind their own species relied on. Instead, they saw trays laden with steaming food. Some humans wolfed down their meals. Others savored them with evident delight. The sheer variety, meats, vegetables, desserts, staggered the aliens. When a particularly defiant recruit smirked and downed a bright orange drink labeled mystery juice, one alien recoiled. Their sustenance is a test of courage. Their misconceptions deepened when they witnessed a drill sergeant addressing the recruits. His voice boomed across the field, his tone sharp and unforgiving. The humans stood rigid, sweat rolling down their faces, but their expressions showed determination rather than fear. The Trizarg whispered among themselves. "This leader dominates them with sheer presence," one speculated. "Perhaps he is their warlord?" Another alien noted how the recruits obeyed without hesitation, though the orders were barked with an intensity that would have caused mutiny in their ranks. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the aliens observed the recruits gathering in groups. Some cleaned their gear with meticulous care. Others shared jokes or sang. The sense of unity unsettled the Trizarg. "They bond as they prepare for war," Galactic said, his voice a low rumble. "These humans are more dangerous than we imagined." The morning began with the harsh blare of a siren, and the humans sprang into action with a speed that startled the Trizarg observers. Clad in identical uniforms, the recruits jogged toward a sprawling obstacle course. The aliens followed closely, their curiosity mingling with unease as they surveyed the terrain. Tall walls, muddy trenches, and razor-thin ropes stretched across a seemingly endless expanse. The humans attacked the course with relentless energy. They scaled walls, crawled under barbed wire, and leapt over obstacles with a determination that bordered on reckless. Galactic and his team observed intently, noting how recruits pushed through exhaustion, falling and rising again without hesitation. "They punish their bodies to the brink of failure," one alien whispered, his mandibles clicking nervously. "And then they push further." Mud coated the recruits as they dove into waterlogged pits, their uniforms clinging to them like second skins. One soldier slipped and fell face-first into the muck, drawing laughter from their comrades. Yet the fallen recruit laughed as well, dragging themselves up and continuing without complaint. This display left the aliens baffled. "They mock their own suffering," Galactic said, his voice tinged with disbelief. Is it resilience or madness? As the recruits neared the rope climb, a smaller human lagged behind, their arms trembling with effort. Several others paused, shouting encouragement. One extended a hand, pulling the struggling recruit up alongside them. The Trizarg murmured among themselves. In their own training, weakness was punished and left behind. To see humans actively aiding each other defied their understanding of warrior discipline. They strengthened their weakest, one alien noted, his tone both admiring and uneasy. The aliens turned their attention to the sparring drills. Pairs of humans squared off against each other, fists raised and eyes locked. The blows exchanged were precise but controlled, aiming to teach rather than injure. Yet to the Trizarg, the sight was shocking. They fight their own kind with ferocity, one observer said, his voice barely above a whisper. This must be how they prepare for combat, by waging war among themselves. Galactic studied the sparring intently. He noted the calculated movements, the balance between aggression and defense. Yet what truly unsettled him was the way the humans laughed once the matches ended, patting each other on the back and sharing words of encouragement. The camaraderie baffled him. They fight like enemies but emerge as allies, he muttered. Such contradictions are unsettling. By midday, the recruits were divided into teams for a tactical exercise. Armed with mock weapons, they navigated a maze of buildings, practicing coordination and strategy. The aliens watched as the humans communicated in clipped phrases and hand signals, their movements swift and efficient. When one team succeeded in breaching a target, they erupted into cheers. The defeated team joined in, congratulating their opponents with grins. This is no ordinary training, Galactic concluded, his voice heavy with realization. These humans have mastered something we have not, unity forged in the crucible of struggle. They do not train as individuals. They train as one. The sky was overcast as the humans assembled for what the Trizarg had been told was their final exercise of the day. The observers stood on an elevated platform, watching as the recruits were herded into an open field scattered with debris, smoke canisters, and large trenches. A human officer stood before the group, his voice booming as he outlined their objective. A simulated combat scenario designed to test endurance, strategy, and resilience. To the aliens, it sounded like a declaration of battle. As the recruits sprinted into the simulation, chaos erupted. Explosions rang out from the canisters, sending plumes of smoke into the air and obscuring the field. The humans moved through the haze with startling agility, their bodies low to the ground as they navigated the unpredictable terrain. To the Trizarg, the environment appeared hostile, almost alive with danger. They send their own into this madness willingly, one alien muttered, his tone laced with disbelief. A recruit fell, clutching their leg in apparent pain. Instead of calling for assistance, they gritted their teeth and crawled toward a trench. Another recruit spotted them and, without hesitation, hoisted them onto their back. Together they advanced through the smoke. The alien observers recoiled at the sight. Injury does not halt them, Galactic said, his voice low. They continue as if pain fuels them. The humans' adaptability became more apparent as the exercise continued. One recruit, finding themselves separated from their team, used mud to camouflage their exposed face. Another climbed a tree to gain a better vantage point, signaling their teammates with subtle hand gestures. The Trizarg, who relied on rigid tactical protocols, struggled to comprehend this unorthodox approach. They are unpredictable, one alien observed, his mandibles clicking nervously. Every action seems improvised, yet it is effective. The simulation intensified when recruits began engaging in mock combat. Blank rounds echoed through the field, and the humans responded with startling precision. One team coordinated an ambush, using debris as cover and luring their opponents into a trap. To the aliens, it was an act of near genius, a display of cunning they had only seen in seasoned war veterans. "These are recruits?" Galactic asked, his disbelief evident. "Their instincts rival those of our most experienced warriors." In one particularly harrowing moment, a recruit dislocated their shoulder while scaling a wall. The Trizarg gasped as the human paused only briefly, gripping their own arm and slamming it back into place with a grimace. They resumed climbing without a second thought. One alien fainted at the sight, while the others stared in stunned silence. They do not merely endure suffering, Galactic murmured. They conquer it. As the simulation ended, the recruits gathered for a debriefing, their faces streaked with sweat and grime but alight with a sense of accomplishment. The Trizarg stood motionless, their minds racing to process what they had witnessed. This was no mere training, one alien finally said, his voice trembling. It was a trial of survival. Galactic nodded slowly, and they thrived. The alien observers returned to their ship in silence, their expressions unreadable. Once aboard, they assembled in the central chamber, the weight of what they had witnessed pressing heavily on them. Galactic stood at the center, his normally commanding presence subdued. His gaze swept over the group before he spoke. These humans, he began, his voice low and measured, they are unlike any species we have encountered. Their training is not mere preparation for battle, it is a transformation. They forge themselves into something greater, something unstoppable. The others murmured in agreement, their earlier skepticism now replaced with a deep unease. One observer stepped forward, their mandibles twitching as they addressed Galactic. Commander, their methods defy logic. They embrace pain as a teacher, chaos as an ally, and unity as a weapon. How can we hope to match such a force? Galactic's gaze hardened. We do not match them. We avoid them. Humanity is not an enemy to provoke. They are a storm to be weathered. He turned to the holographic console at the center of the room, activating a recording of the humans' training. Scenes of endurance runs, obstacle courses, and the chaotic simulation played in rapid succession. The recruits' resilience and ingenuity were on full display. The room fell silent as the aliens watched a recruit hoist their injured comrade during the simulation, carrying them to safety despite the relentless pace of the exercise. Another clip showed a team improvising an ambush, their coordination seamless despite the chaos around them. Galactic paused the recording, turning back to his team. This is their strength, he said firmly. They fight not as individuals but as a collective. They do not leave the weak behind, nor do they succumb to fear or failure. These qualities make them dangerous beyond measure. One alien hesitated before speaking. But Commander, they are fragile. Their bodies are weak compared to ours. Surely that is a vulnerability we can exploit. Galactic shook his head. Fragility breeds adaptability. Their strength lies not in their bodies but in their minds, their will. They turn weakness into power, suffering into fuel. We have seen this with our own eyes. The discussion shifted to the broader implications. The Council of the Trizarg would need to be informed immediately. Galactic composed a detailed report, emphasizing the dangers of underestimating humanity. We must ensure this knowledge spreads throughout the galaxy, he concluded. Humanity's reputation must precede them. Let them be seen as they truly are. A force that defies reason, a species that cannot be broken. As the report was transmitted, Galactic allowed himself a moment of reflection. The humans they had observed were merely recruits, novices in the art of war. Yet they had displayed a tenacity that rivaled the galaxy's most formidable warriors. What will they become when their potential is fully realized? He wondered aloud, a hint of awe in his voice. The thought lingered as the ship prepared for departure. The Trizarg had come to Earth seeking answers, and they had found them. Humanity was not just a species, they were a phenomenon. A quiet resolve settled over the crew as they left the planet behind, their course set for home. The galaxy they knew would never be the same.